Hey everybody! Thanks for joining us tonight here at Cooking with Emily, a Facebook Live cooking show. My name is Emily. I'm the registered dietitian here at Harvest Market and your host for tonight's Cooking Live. I'm super excited to share this recipe with you tonight. We have a creamy chicken skillet and a cauliflower rice pilaf. So this time of year, we're kind of looking for something that's comforting but still kind of healthy, especially in between the holidays when we have all of that rich, indulgent food. So this is both satisfying and warming, but still helpful with the chicken and the veggies. And so let's just kind of do a recap of what I have here, the equipment that I have, and then we'll get started. So I have my two pans here. One is going to be for my chicken, and then one is going to be for my cauliflower rice pilaf. I do have my pans already heating right now, just so I'm ready for that. Over here, I have some parsley. I have my shallots and garlic. I've got my mustard and Greek yogurt ready for that chicken, and the chicken broth. So I've got all of my ingredients ready for me to go. The first thing that we're going to do in our skillet here is start our chicken. So what we're going to do is we're going to give a beautiful sear to that chicken and let it cook on the outside, and that's really going to kind of build the flavor of our creamy sauce. So I want to make sure that my pan is heated. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. So if you're cooking along with me, go ahead and get that pan going. We want it nice and hot. We do want a good sear on our chicken. I'm going to have a plate out here so I can put my seared chicken on this when it's done. So you guys don't forget to comment during the show tonight. Give us a shout out. Tell us what you want to see on the show. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask and I will answer them as best as I possibly can. All right, we're getting nice and hot here. So I have a little bit of olive oil. You can also use cooking spray if you want to. Canola oil is another good one. Just make sure you don't use extra virgin olive oil. Doesn't have as high smoke point, and so it will burn quite quickly. So make sure you have just regular olive oil, canola oil, or cooking spray for this. Okay, so I have my chicken breast here close by, so I have these ready to go. So I'm just going to add this to my pan. Give it a nice swirl. I just want it to coat the bottom of my pan here. Beautiful. So I've got my chicken breast here. I like the packs where you can get exactly how much you need. So this one has 4. Beautiful. Our pan is nice and hot. We're going to get a lovely sear on this chicken. That's exactly what I want.
All right, we got the first question.
Yes.
Steph asked, "Hi Emily, is there any cheese in this one?"
There is no cheese in this dish.
That is a cheese hungry here.
Yeah, there is no cheese in this dish. You can certainly add some if you want to, but the recipe doesn't call for it. Sorry, Steph. I'm just going to season with a little pepper here. Really, really simple, just a little salt and pepper. Gorgeous. Okay, so while that's searing, you guys, I'm going to bring over my garlic and my shallots. So this is, again, going to kind of be the flavor base of our sauce. And so I like to use, so these are really, really big garlic cloves. I love garlic, so I typically tend to add probably about 3 to 4 times the amount than the recipe calls for. But since you're making it yourself, you can tailor the amount of garlic that you use. So I would say 4 small cloves or 2 large if you like your garlic. And then these are my shallots. And I also said that you can use a small onion, which is totally doable. I like shallots because they have a little less pungent flavor than onions do. They're kind of a cross between a sweet onion and garlic. So they have a little bit of garlic flavor to it, but they're just nice and mild. So if you want to try something new, shallots are a beautiful thing to add to a dish. And this is a really kind of light creamy dish. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it really is. It has some beautiful light flavors in here. So I'm just going to slice these with my knife. And so you see, I just kind of get these little pieces here and just give those a rough chop. There's no, it doesn't have to be exact by any means. I can hear our chicken sizzling away and it already smells so good. So again, I want a nice sear on the outside of these guys. So just let them go, let them do their thing. And meanwhile, just chop up your shallots or your onions, which we're gonna add to the pan after we take our chicken out. If you guys have any questions or any comments again on anything you'd like to see in next shows, please let us know. We're always looking for what you guys would like to see in these.
So actually before the broadcast, but what would you rate this on a 1 to 10 of how healthy this dish is? 10 being the healthiest that you can get, and 1 being very, very fatty.
I would say this would be a solid like 6 or 7 on a health scale, with 10 being the healthiest. Because we have really simple, beautiful flavors going on here. We've got garlic and onion, those are super helpful. We've got our lean protein with the chicken. Our sauce that we're building has a little bit of white wine, very little. And our creaminess factor is coming from plain Greek yogurt, which is definitely a helpful choice. We're utilizing some fresh herbs. It's a very simple, very flavorful dish using whole ingredients that I really like. So I would say this is a fairly helpful dish, absolutely.
But a bunch of people just join, if they missed the first step, what should they do? Yes. The chicken, right?
So if you're just joining us, welcome. I am searing my chicken right now for my creamy chicken skillet. And so I've just drizzled a little bit of olive oil in my pan, and I put my chicken breast right in here, just seasoned with a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm letting these guys get nice and browned on the outside. I want a nice sear to these guys. And right now, I'm just preparing our garlic and our shallots that are going into our sauce when we take the chicken breast right out. So I'm just mincing up some garlic. I get asked a lot, because I typically tend to use fresh garlic, so I get asked, you know, what about the pre-minced stuff that's already in the jar? I'm not a food snob, you guys, by any means, but this is one thing that I don't compromise on, just because I find that the flavor of fresh garlic is so much different than the kind that you get in a can. So if you're looking for a little bit extra flavor, if you want some fiery bite, because that's what fresh garlic will give you, then go for the fresh. Otherwise, if convenience is key, if you don't have time to sit here and chop this garlic, just use the canned stuff. I'm not going to judge you, I promise.
Get some comments. Sheila says, what a natural, exclamation point. Jess says, my chicken always sticks to the pan. What's your secret?
So, well, you want to make sure that you have a good pan, and you want to make sure that there's enough oil or cooking spray at the bottom of the pan. And a lot of times it'll stick if it's not quite done yet, so that's why I'm letting it sear. I'm just kind of letting it sit. So you'll see that my chicken is still kind of sticking to the pan a little bit, because it's not done searing on that side. And so you want to just make sure, and it'll stick a little bit, but guess what? That's going to be the flavor base for our sauce. We want those brown bits to stick at the bottom of the pan, because we're actually going to deglaze our pan with a little bit of white wine. And that's really the flavor. The flavor of our sauce comes from the little brown bits that get stuck. So it's okay if it gets stuck a little bit to the pan, but just make sure that you have enough cooking spray in the bottom of your pan and enough oil down there too. All right, so my shallots and my garlic are all ready to go. I'm just going to kind of push these off to the side. All right, I'm going to get a spatula. And let's take a look at these chicken breasts here. Beautiful. I'm just going to give these a flip. So you'll see a little bit of golden brown there. I could even stand to have just a little bit more color to that. Because again, that's where all that flavor is coming from. So I think some of my oil kind of slipped to this side of the pan, and that's why this one's sticking a bit. There we go. So you see that nice deep golden brown color? That's exactly what we want. Just beautiful. So I'm going to season this side a little bit, little pepper, tiny little bit of salt, don't need a lot. Beautiful. So in the meantime, you guys, I'm going to show you how to rice cauliflower while our chicken is getting ready, okay? So you can absolutely purchase pre-riced cauliflower if you want to. I typically tend to like to rice it myself because you get a lot more and it's way less expensive. You buy the free rice stuff, and it can be upwards of $8 for a container, where you can get a head of cauliflower for $2 or $3, depending. So this is a really, really inexpensive way to do it. It does take a little bit more time, so you just have to decide what's worth more to you, if that's time or convenience. So I'm actually going to use my Ninja food processor. You can use a regular food processor if you want to. So I'm just going to take the lid off here. So this is how I'm going to pour my cauliflower. So I'm just going to kind of chop off this bottom part here and get this part off, okay? And then you'll see that the core is right here. So I'm just going to kind of work my knife very carefully all around my core. And the leaves will kind of start to fall off around you. That's okay. And then watch out, the florets are gonna fly. And there's our core. So we don't really need that. Doesn't do it much good, cooking-wise at least. So then we have all of our beautiful florets, okay? So that is what goes right in here. And you guys, it's really important that we break these up into smaller pieces. If I throw these big guys into here, they'll just get stuck and they won't process, okay? So I'm gonna kind of just break them up with my hands. Luckily, they come apart really, really easily. And so I'm just going to break these up. And sometimes, depending on the size of your cauliflower, I will do this in 2 batches. And that's the thing, I always get asked too, well, how much cauliflower do you get? How much cauliflower rice do you get out of a head of cauliflower? It totally depends. Some cauliflowers are huge, while other ones are really, really tiny. So depending on what you need and what you're looking for, choose the size that's most appropriate for you. All right, looking good. I'm gonna check on our chicken, see how we're doing here. Remember, we're not looking to cook all the way through. We just want to sear on the outside. These are looking really good, and they smell really good too. All right, here we go. I'm gonna close up my cauliflower. And I have cauliflower rice. It's as simple as that. Who knew? So sometimes you will find that little pieces, such as this one, they might be a little bit too big, and so they don't get processed. That's why I like to do it in 2 batches. I'll just take those guys out and then add them to the next batch, and we'll get our cauliflower rice. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a spatula and just put this right over here until we're ready to use it. Again, you guys, if you're cooking along with me, we've got our chicken searing here. I'm just working on ricing our cauliflower. I already have my shallot and my garlic ready to go for my chicken. All right, so it's right in here. And again, I'm just going to break these guys up. And as soon as I'm done with this, I think our chicken is going to be done to transfer to a plate. All right. Lid right on and give it a few pulses. And our rice is done. Easy peasy. So it really doesn't take that much time to make your own rice cauliflower. And you know, this is one of those trends, you guys, that I really am behind. Anything to get people to eat more vegetables is awesome in my book. So I'm all about jumping on the rice cauliflower trend. I've also recommended too, if you don't like the full flavor of cauliflower rice, you can also do 50-50. So do half, brown rice or even white rice if brown is, not your favorite, and then have cauliflower rice and mix them together.
Lori says she's glad to know the Ninja works that well.
Yes.
What are some other uses for the Ninja that you found?
Oh my gosh, so I make sauces, I make like pasta sauce, I make pesto, I make dips, I make salsa. I chop veggies in it, so give it a few pulses and you can chop your vegetables in it. It's amazing. It's really a multi-purpose tool. that I found valuable in the kitchen. And this one does have the attachment where it's just kind of this single top where you can make your own smoothies and things, salad dressings. The possibilities are endless. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so this is our pan. You see all that brown stuff at the bottom? That's what we want. That is good stuff. That is flavor right there. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more olive oil to my pan. And now we're ready to add the shallot and the garlic. Right into the pan. Beautiful. Season with a little pepper. Season early, season often. You want to build those flavors the whole time that you're making the dish. You don't want to dump it in after the fact. Okay. So for this, I really like to use like a wooden spoon to start working to get those brown bits off the bottom of the pan. Again, we're going to do a technique called deglazing the bottom of the pan, which means that we're going to add a liquid, a cold liquid, to a hot pan, and that's going to release all of those beautiful brown bits, or fonds is what they're called, F-O-N-D-S. And again, that is really a flavor builder of our final dish. So I do have a white wine. You definitely don't need to go out and purchase wine, or if you don't feel comfortable cooking with wine or you just don't want to, no big deal. I have kind of another hack for you. You can use a little bit of chicken stock or vegetable stock and a vinegar. So like a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of vinegar or lemon juice to a half a cup of stock or broth. So that will give you the same effect. So what this wine does is it builds complexity, it builds flavor, and it also gives some acidity to the dish. But again, if you don't want to use the white wine, then you can use a stock and add a little vinegar to that. So I'm using a Pinot Grigio. I typically, I like to go by the rule of if you wouldn't drink it, don't cook with it. So you want it to be drinkable, but you definitely don't want to use an expensive wine. So I would say don't use over a $10 bottle of wine for cooking. This one is one of my favorites. It's Lindman's Pinot Grigio. It's very inexpensive, but the flavors are really, really good. So this is a nice screw top, so I'm just going to open it right up. And I want my pan to be nice and hot. I'm going to add this right in. That's what you want to hear. You want to hear that sizzle and bubble right up, because again, that's going to release those brown bits at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to take my wooden spoon here and just kind of scrape the bottom. And because wine has a lower boiling point than water does, it will come to a boil or a bubble fairly quickly after you add it to the pan. And you want it to reduce down, and that's just a fancy word meaning you see all the steam that's coming off. So some of the liquid is going to cook off, and you're going to be left with just a little bit of liquid, less than what you started with. So that's what it means when a recipe says just let it cook down. And the onions will start to kind of absorb those beautiful flavors. And that is just gorgeous, you guys. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to add my flour now. So this is about a tablespoon of your flour. And this is going to be our thickener for our sauce, because we're going to end up with kind of a creamy sauce. So this is going to be our thickener. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this right into the pan. Touch more pepper. Little pinch of salt, a little bit. Give this a stir. You'll see once you add that, it'll really kind of soak up any liquid that was still left from the wine. So your pan should be pretty dry right now with your flour added in there. So I'm going to add my stock now. This is chicken stock. I'm going to add that right in. All right. And I'm just going to kind of bring this up to a bubble a little bit. And I'm just going to mix this right in. So we want this to reduce down and create a nice sauce.
So quick recap for people who might have just joined us. We've done our chicken, we've riced our cauliflower, and now we're working on our sauce, correct?
Correct. So the liquid is added to the pot. I'm bringing this up to a bubble. We're gonna add our chicken in here in just a minute, and we're gonna cover that. And then while we cover our chicken, because remember we just gave that chicken a sear on the outside to create some flavor. If we were to add that chicken to this sauce just raw without searing it, we would really miss some beautiful flavors on the outside, and we would miss that flavor that we got left over from the pan, right? So we're gonna add that chicken back, we're gonna cover it because we wanna cook it through. So I'm just bringing this to a bubble. I want my sauce. Heat is going to actually start to thicken our sauce. So you'll notice that it's a little bit liquidy right now. So what happens is when the heat mixes with the starches of the flour and the liquid, everything will kind of start to thicken up, and the starches of the flour will swell and absorb the liquid, and we will get a thicker sauce, okay? So that's what's happening.
Got a couple of questions. Lori asked, what inch is the skillet the chicken is in? Is it non-stick pan? It looks really nice.
This is a beautiful skillet. I'm not sure, would this be like a 12-inch? I'm so bad at that. I don't know. It's enough to fit 4 good-sized chicken breasts. It is an aluminum skillet, so it's not coated in nonstick, but it's a really nice pan. And you actually don't want to use a nonstick pan when you're creating a good pan sauce like this, because you can't get those brown bits at the bottom like we did with our chicken. So that's why I like to use this for anything I'm making a sauce with. And this is, I think the brand is Avalon. We have it here at our store, and you can actually put it in the oven. It's oven safe as well, which is awesome. Okay, guys.
Christy asked, can you use gluten-free flour?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can use, so yeah, you can use like quinoa flour would come to mind, like brown rice flour, that would work really well. Oh, this smells so good, you guys. Oh my gosh, okay. Little pepper. So I'm gonna add something to this. If you have it, you can add it. So in my kitchen, I like to use onion powder and garlic powder. It's a way to impart more flavor without adding any extra salt. So these aren't the salts. These are just the powders of garlic and onion. Totally optional. But again, it'll just give it a hit of good flavor since we do have onion and garlic in there. So you can see this is coming up to a bubble, and it looks beautiful, and it's getting thick and gorgeous. I'm gonna add our chicken back in here. So we have our chicken breasts right in here. So let's just nestle these beauties right into the sauce. Slippery. Be careful. Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. All right, so I got my lid. If you do have a lid, I would suggest covering it. That is going to help your chicken to cook a lot faster. So I'm just going to turn that down a little bit, and we are ready to start on our cauliflower, right? So, ooh, there goes the salt. So we are going to start with some garlic, of course. Got to start with the garlic. Always going to be a good dish if you start out with garlic and onion, right? All right, give it a good mince. Again, I have my pan heating. Probably about a medium heat right here. Okay, nothing too crazy hot, because we're really just kind of sauteing some veggies up. And I like this because we can just kind of chop and add right to the pan. I love dishes that are like that. It makes it nice and easy to cook. All right, giving this a good mix. So again, you guys, if you're just joining us, I have my chicken in my pan with my sauce. My chicken is cooking through with the lid on. We are starting the cauliflower rice pilaf here, and I'm just chopping away some garlic. And I'm gonna do a lot of onion, because I love onion in this. You can do, if you're not a huge fan, you can leave it out altogether, no big deal. Or you can just do about half this guy, that's totally fine too. So don't forget to save all of your peels and things, especially this time of year when it's soup season. This is actually the stock that I use, the chicken stock that I use is a homemade stock, because I keep the stock stocked in the fridge. all winter long because I typically tend to make a lot of soups or recipes that call for it. So save your scraps. And I'm just gonna give this a good mince. I wanna do a good mince on this, you guys, because I want all the veggies in this to be tiny. So I don't want huge pieces of onion and then my tiny little cauliflower rice. I want it to be all pretty much uniform, okay? All right. A little bit of olive oil at the end. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add both that onion and garlic in there. Pan turned up just a little bit more. So again, put your pan on like a medium-high heat. You don't want it searing hot, but you want it hot enough to where the veggies will start to saute a little bit. So again, I'm gonna dice this up. So I'm gonna cut this way with my hand flat on top. Okay, and then I'm gonna follow the ridges of this onion. Claw hand now. And not cutting all the way through. Just slicing here, turn it. And then you get your little dices here.
Now, Lori says Harvest Market has the best chicken. It's trimmed so well. The butcher there even makes some thin one for me. He is the best. His name starts with a J. Yes, that is Jesus.
Yes, Jesus. He is great. Thank you so much for bringing that up because, yeah, you guys, if you want to go to our meat department, if you want cubed up chicken breast, already cubed up, and you don't see it out there, ask and they will get it done for you in literally about a minute and 30 seconds. It's amazing what they can do for you. They will give you anything that you want. Oh my gosh, you guys. That smells really, really good. So I'm gonna just turn our chicken. Our sauce is thickening up beautifully. Oh my goodness, just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Okay. Leave that on. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. That sauce is bubbling away, so I just want to be careful with that. I'm gonna grab another wooden spoon here. I got my veggies, my onion and garlic sauteing. Little salt, little pepper. And again, I'm gonna use a little bit of that onion powder, garlic powder in here. I would say probably half a teaspoon, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon.
Kathy says, great job, Emily.
Thank you.
I have a question too about how many people does this serve?
Yeah, well, good question. Most of my recipes serve about 4 to 6 people, depending on your portion size. So I have 4 chicken breasts here, so if everybody has their own chicken breast, it'd be about 4 people.
Or me, if I want to be.
Or you, yes, exactly. Again, depending on your portion size. Okay, so now I just have some carrots and celery that I'm going to dice up for this. So I just like to kind of cut my celery down the center with the tip of my knife, just like that. And then all together, give it a nice dice. Remember to hold your knife properly, guys, so pinch it here and then wrap around here. And you always want to leave a part of your knife on the cutting board at all times. So we're not going up and down like this. So I'm leaving the tip of my knife here and just rocking back and forth.
Allison asked, will this awesome recipe be posted somewhere when you're finished cooking? Looks wonderful and healthy.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It'll be posted on our website. So you can definitely find it there. And this video will also be on YouTube and on our website. And so if you want to watch, and on Facebook. So if you want to watch it again, you absolutely can, and have the recipe. Okay, dicing up our, I love the smell of celery. Oh my goodness. I feel like it's such an underrated vegetable. It has such a beautiful flavor and smell. Okay, so chop this up nicely. Oh my gosh, this chicken. Oh, it looks beautiful. So again, I'm really just wanting to cook my chicken through. Remember that chicken needs to be at 165 in the middle, so if you do have a meat thermometer and you want to use that, it has to be 165 in the thickest part of the meat. And that's really the best way to tell if meat is done, is by using a meat thermometer. You can also definitely just, a lot of times what I'll do too is give a slice through the thickest part, and it should be completely white all the way through, so no pink, okay?
Lisa says it looks delicious so far. Art can smell it all the way in Maryland.
Oh my goodness! Oh, it smells Absolutely heavenly.
Just as she loves celery too.
Yay! Another celery appreciator.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's not buying it. Even when you try this, you'll become a believer, huh? All right, so I'm just chopping up my carrot. You guys, you can also use, one thing I always think about too, if we're looking for convenience and quick weeknight meal, frozen veggies that are already cut up for you. Frozen vegetables are a helpful, wonderful choice. A lot of times they're may have more nutrients in them because they're flash frozen at the peak of ripeness and freshness. When sometimes our veggies, our fresh veggies, can actually, be picked weeks or months ago and be in transport and lose a lot of those nutrients after they're picked. So I get asked a lot, are frozen veggies really good for you? Actually, yes. Just make sure you're getting the ones that don't have the added sugars or salt or sauces, things like that. Flavor it yourself. But they're definitely helpful. So I'm just going to give these carrots a rough chop. And rise the pan. So the reason why I'm adding my cauliflower very last is because it really doesn't need to cook. And in fact, when it cooks too much, it kind of gets mushy and watery. So I'm just going to heat it through after my veggies are sauteed.
Nancy says you make cutting veggies look so easy, and I agree.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to make it look easy, because it is. Oh my goodness. Oh, it looks so good, you guys. And you can see the sauce is getting nice and thick. And it's going to get even thicker when we add some of that Greek yogurt. And so at this point in time, I'm actually going to leave the lid off because I do want our sauce to thicken up a little bit more, and allowing some of that steam to come out of the pan will thicken up our sauce because we're getting rid of some of that excess moisture. So this looks really, really good. Okay. So I'm actually going to turn this guy down a little bit. You're good to go in there. And now I'm going to add my cauliflower. Beautiful. And this is just a great veggie side dish, and it has a nice texture, it has a nice flavor. So to this, for a little bit more flavor, I'm just going to add a little bit of chicken stock. Okay, and then a little hit of lemon juice. I like the lemon in this, it brightens it up. Again, whenever a recipe is missing something, it's typically an acid. So you can fix that by adding like a lemon juice or lime juice or any vinegar. Red wine vinegar is usually my go-to because it has a flavor that pretty much goes with anything. All right, right in there. And since we added all that, I'm going to add a little bit more salt and pepper. And of course, do this to taste. You've got to taste it, you guys. You have to taste your dishes and your sauces to make sure that the seasonings are spot on. Gorgeous. Love it, love it. Look at that. Mmm. And it's colorful and it's chock full of veggies. You can't get better than that. Oh my gosh. And all these smells that are happening right now, it is just fabulous. And I love serving something like this with a sauce because then this can kind of soak up all of that beautiful sauce that runs over your plate. Oh, it's delicious. Delicious. So is anybody cooking out there? Is anybody's kitchen smell as good as mine right now? Because holy moly, does this smell good. Oh, lovely. And our sauce is just heavenly beautiful. Okay, so right now, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna make sure that our chicken is, I'm not gonna cut too much here. Oh, our chicken is cooked perfectly. Oh, this is lovely. So what I'm doing again, I'm cutting in the very thickest part, and it should be completely white all the way through, and really nice and tender. And that's what I love about cooking the chicken in this sauce, is that it stays juicy and tender. And a lot of times what can happen with our chicken dishes is that they dry out, right? And that's why we don't like to cook with chicken breasts. It's like, ugh, I don't want to eat a piece of dried out chicken. This is beautiful and moist and delicious. So we have our last thing that's really going to help, again, thicken our sauce even more. We have our plain Greek yogurt, okay? So instead of using like a sour cream or a cream cheese, we're using Greek yogurt, which I love to use in cooking. It is versatile, it is delicious. And then we have our Dijon mustard that will just add kind of a little zest and a little kick to this sauce. So I'm just going to scoop my chicken breast off to the side, and I'm going to add this right in the middle of our skillet. Whoop, there it goes. Nice big flap. All right.
I think your mom is joining. She says, just watching tonight, they're going to make this later on.
All right. It's a good one. Okay, so I'm just going to stir this right in. And it kind of, I like the Greek yogurt kind of lightens up our sauce too. And look at how creamy and delicious this is, you guys. And no cheese. And still amazing, I promise. Okay, so you just might want to stir this right in here. Get that all incorporated. Look at that. So the final touches. We're going to add a bunch of green onions to this because I love the color pop that it gives. These have a beautiful flavor as well. Mild onion flavor that is just fabulous. So I'm going to just cut off the tops because a lot of times what happens with the tops, they get kind of wrinkly and kind of sad. So I'm just going to leave them off to the side and add them to a stock later. And then I'm just going to give these chopped.
Carol says it looks wonderful, and it does, and it smells wonderful too. And Jess says, I'm always nervous to use Dijon. It's so potent, and I always afraid I'll use too much. I guess what's a trick to maybe not use too much Dijon?
That's a good question. I like the flavor of it, especially when you pair it with this kind of thing. It doesn't get lost, but the flavors really get muted a lot. So usually just like a teaspoon is good of Dijon mustard. And if you don't want to use Dijon, like stone ground mustard is a little bit less potent than a Dijon mustard. And you have to remember, it doesn't taste like yellow mustard either, which is, you know, the stuff that you put on hot dogs. And it has a totally different flavor. If you want a little bit more sweetness, you can also use honey mustard, which is a really good choice. Not like the dipping sauce, but that's the condiment. So that's also another option too. So just add a little bit. Remember, you can always add more. So maybe add half of what the recipe says, taste it, and see what you think, and add more if you need to.
And Debbie says she loves this idea for online, so I'm glad you're joining us, Debbie. I've made something very similar with Greek yogurt and cauliflower rice. Yum.
Yeah, wonderful. I know, it's amazing how many variations you can do with similar ingredients.
And Nancy says, I think I'll try this. It looks delicious.
It is delicious. And look at that. And dinner is done. So I just added my green onion as my last finishing step. And my cauliflower rice is on my counter. And it's done. And I'm going to give our sauce a taste because I just want to make sure that the flavors are good here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I can taste a little bit of everything, and it's savory. It's not overly salted, which I really like. I can taste the chicken flavor. I can taste the onion and garlic and a little bit of that acidity from the wine. This is comfort food, healthy comfort food. So you have this beautiful chicken here. Let's just plate this up, shall we? See what this looks like on the plate. I'm just going to serve some of this cauliflower rice here. And please give yourself a big old heaping pile of this because, again, remember, this is all vegetables. So here's a piece of our beautiful chicken. I'm going to spoon some of this sauce right over the top. Look at this. Look at that sauce. Oh, my word. Oh, my gosh, it smells so good, you guys. All right, and dinner is served. So I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope if you cooked along with us that you will enjoy your dinner tonight. As always, if you have any questions, comments, even after the fact, feel free to contact us, email me. We're always looking to hear what you guys want to do for our next Facebook Live cooking show. And so please, if you have any suggestions. But again, I want to thank you guys for spending time with me tonight, cooking along with me, or just watching. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Everyone have a great night. Thanks.